Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sabol Brothers on the Baseline podcast. I'm Scott Sabol, and
I'm John Sabol. Thanks for joining us right here on the Press Play Podcast Network.
So, John, we have a really special guest today. It is Coach Ted Ginn Sr. We were trying to get him for the last couple of weeks, and he's a very busy man. But we're in for a treat here. He has an interesting perspective on coaching and life, and I don't want to give too much of this away just by knowing his background, but I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, this message that he's going to give us is going to be inspiring on so many levels that can touch anybody that's listening to this. It doesn't matter if you have a son playing high school football or high school track or a daughter in high school sports. This goes beyond the X's and O's and beyond the sport itself. This is it's a life message, but also inspiring one at that. Ted Ginn Sr. coming up here right after the break here on Sabol Brothers on the Baseline podcast, all part here on the Press Play Podcast Network, coming up right after this.
Hey, it's Tito, host of the Premier Fantasy Podcast. Get all the news and analysis you need to dominate your fantasy league. I've been doing this as long as anybody in the business. I can help give you the edge in your leagues. It's the Premier Fantasy Podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Hey everybody, it's Sam Amico from Cavs on the Break NBA podcast. Be sure to give us a listen for all your Cleveland Cavaliers recaps, analysis, breakdowns, draft talk, free agency. The list goes on and on. Give us a listen, Cavs on the Break NBA podcast.
Hi, my name is Jeremy Powell, co-host of the Oranges, Oranger, Browns podcast. Check us out anywhere you listen to podcasts. For all your Browns coverage, post-game, pre-game, anything you need Browns, you'll find it here on the Oranges, Oranger, Browns podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. Well, he is the coach of the Glenville High School Tar Blooders football and track teams in Cleveland, Ohio, and founder of the Ted Ginn Academy. It's an honor and a privilege. We welcome Coach Ted Ginn Sr. Good morning, Coach, and welcome to the Sabol Brothers on the Baseline podcast. How are you doing, and are you staying healthy?
Yeah, I'm fine, man. You know, I'm okay till they tell me something different. But, you know, they always throw me on that rack. You know, they're always working on something, you know, but I'm good.
Good. You know, when I first reached out to you, you were in Texas, of all places. Explain why you were in Texas before we get started.
Well, I was there for the AAU Nationals. I haven't coached AAU track in 30 years, man, you know, but I had a group of kids that kind of dedicated themselves over the past spring and they kind of got me going, and they wanted to run summer track. And, you know, my son has the Ginn Elite track program. So now they done reeled me into this. And man, you know, it was something special, man. It was hot. You know, so I got some young kids. Then I got a high jumper and a couple of sprinters and a relay that will be coming back for the state, you know, so we excited about that. You know, the high jumper came in second in the nationals. So he jumped 6'6". So, you know, so I was happy for that. The relay came in like 5th or 6th in the country. So we're making progress, man. So.
Coach, are you staying healthy with COVID? How you been dealing with that?
Just trying to stay out of the way, bro. You know, I had a bout with it early on. They kind of knocked me around, you know, but I was in the hospital for a while. But I got out of it, you know, God willing. You know, we just got to keep moving. You know, you just can't. You know, the world is what it is, and you know, you got to keep doing your service work. So I'm just doing what I do and trying to protect myself and keep going.
I'm glad to hear you're healthy and doing well. Well, for people that don't know your background, where did you grow up and how did you make it all the way to Northern Ohio? Because I know you're a Southern kid at heart, right?
Oh, absolutely. You see what I got on? Louisiana. You know. So, you know, I came here when I was 11, but I was back and forth because my parents lived in Cleveland. my mother and father. And, you know, when they got their divorce, my grandfather came and got me when I was like 5 or 6. So I was living with my grandparents in Louisiana on the farm. And when I turned 11, they had a custody battle, and then I ended up here. My mother won the battle, and I ended up in Cleveland at 11. And still got those old country core values, you know. I still live by it, you know, and that's how I got here.
So, Coach, did you play any sports growing up?
What time you talking?
Oh,
if you talk about when I was down south, I played milk carton football.
There you go.
You had at recess. You know, we couldn't afford a football, so we put rocks in a milk carton, and I had my games going. You know, but when I came to Cleveland at 11, I played for PYO. That was a little muni team. And then I played in junior high at Patrick Henry, and I played at Glenville.
Coach, as a Glenville alum, how special has it been for you to be coaching your alma mater now for what, almost 25 years? That's incredible.
That's 25 years as the head coach. I've been there 45 years. I've been coaching ever since I was 19.
Wow.
Not 19, but 1976, you know. So, man, it's most rewarding situation that I could be in, you know, to be in the community that I grew up in and serving and doing what's right by children and trying to keep the traditional thing going at Glenville. You know, I stayed in the community because it's a lot of diamonds, bro. You know, and you know, diamonds don't look good till you put pressure on them. You know, and mash them and shining up, you know. So I didn't leave, you know, and it means a lot to me to be in Glenville community and Cleveland. You know, that's what our job is, to serve. And I have an opportunity by having a football team, a track team, a school. So I'm just doing service work every day, you know, and I don't call it a job. It's just a calling. And it's just something that has to be done every day. So it's special to me. And it means a lot. It means everything.
You had the opportunity to coach high school football in Texas from what I read a while back, but you turned it down. And I think you already kind of answered that question, right? I mean, you turned it down. You wanted to stay here. Is that right?
Absolutely. I had a chance to go to McKinney, Texas in 2006, I think it was. I went there. I was just coaching the All-American game, and I flew from there to Dallas for the interview. But you know, my heart is not there. You know, and my calling and my job is in Cleveland. You know, I've never coached for a career. You know, I coach for where I'm at. You know, for the community in the city that I grew up in, and that's been my purpose. You know, and back then I could have, if you want to talk about money, you know, it was 100,000 then, you know, and I wasn't making that, you know, I was, and just to show you that I believe in where I'm at. I believe in the city. I believe in the community of Glenville. Somebody got to stay and do the work, you know, so I turned that down.
It just goes to show how Glenville and Cleveland is so special in your heart, Coach. And one question I know that you get asked constantly over the last, 15 or so years is, how special was it to coach your son Ted Jr. years and years ago?
Well, back years ago, it was something we have to do. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I never really focused on that part, because I let other people coach. I just fill in the gaps, and just direct and make him do things that he's supposed to do as the example for others. And that's the special part. But it really didn't hit me until a few weeks ago when he retired, how hard that was and how special that was. And it kind of broke me up, for 21 years, I made you the example for other people to follow, and he did it. And that's pretty tough. And so I think I really never thought about it until a few weeks ago, when I sat down and watched him have his interview for his retirement. And it kind of hit me because that's a lot of pressure on one child to be in a position to help others. And we doing service work, so it's real special.
Do you think your son is going to eventually follow in your footsteps as a coach, as a mentor?
Yeah, well, that's what he's doing now with his program, the Ginn Elite. He probably got 300 or 400 kids, in football, track, basketball. And that's his passion, because he wants somebody else to be a Ted Ginn Jr., because the system that he came out of, without the system, you would have never knew him, because he was a straight bum as a ninth grader. He was a bum. And to develop into that, be based on the system, he became a national guy and an example for people to follow. So as a father, you always want your kids to follow in your footsteps. You go out and do things to create things to hope that they would take it on. But, he got his own thing going, and really he's doing that now, following in my footsteps. But would he take over where I'm at? I don't know.
So I have a son who's a junior in high school, and I can kind of see what you mean about, you said your son was a bum when he was a freshman. My son, he's had his tough go every once in a while. And as a father, you don't want to be too rough, but then again, you don't want to be too easy. Did you give him some tough love when?
Oh, every day.
Yeah.
Every day. I've never, all the way to the NFL team, I'm the biggest critic. You have never been as good as you could have been. And that's real. You never reach, your full potential because of something else you could have done. Oh no. That's what I do. Oh, I'm gonna beat him up with that, but he understands it, and he come to me for that. When you could have caught a ball and you ran out of bounds, when you should have ran and got another 2 or 3 yards, I'm probably broke it. Yeah, that's in me, and he was getting paid to do that. But I'm still coaching.
Did that happen a lot, Coach, when you would watch game film of him in the NFL or even maybe at Ohio State, and would you ever jot down certain plays and afterwards, and you would just say, hey, son, you could have done this better. You could have done this differently. Why did you do this? Something like that?
Because I'm a coach, first of all, and I'm an evaluator. And I'm going to tell you the truth. And I do that. When I watch film, I don't watch the game like that. I watch the game like I'm studying film. And that's every game that he ever played. That's how I've always done it. And I would call Tress and tell them the same thing. Because, me and Tress was like this, no, man, I don't, and I'm like that, period. No, and then if you had a good game, you had a good one, but it was something else you could have done.
Can you ever watch a game and just be entertained like a casual fan, or do you just switch into that mode where you're constantly evaluating and critiquing?
All the time, just constantly evaluating and critiquing.
Wow.
And and I'm enjoying it while I'm doing that. I know him so well that I know that anytime the game is on the line, he's the guy. He's going to make something happen. And just like when I looked at the NFL, and I looked at even when he was in college, you got players that you can win games with. But you got some players that can win the game for you during the year. You go get players, just like in high school, anything. But this player is going to win you maybe 3 to 4 games because of their talent and their understanding of the game. Ted is that type of guy. no matter what he do, he might drop one or two. You know what I'm saying? But when it's fourth quarter and you need that big play, he's going to make it happen. And he just been blessed like that all his life. In every sense of sports, he's the go-to guy, and it's always good. He's been under the radar in a lot of people's eyes. Being number one draft pick that should have been a bust. But I've never seen a bust stay in the NFL 14 years, so, and that's why I explain that to him, because, when you reading things and stuff like that, you got to stay encouraged. You've been around football all your life. That's just somebody's opinion. And, analysts and everybody's analyzing somebody, So we have to continue to keep our kids encouraged, keep your players encouraged, because everybody has an opinion, but I don't mean that's the truth.
So it's hard to believe, Coach, it's almost been 15 years since you established the Ginn Academy. Explain to the listeners what the Academy provides, how it's different than the other schools in the Cleveland district, and what the ultimate goal is for the students.
Well, the difference, we're an innovative school. Our curriculum is different. I joke about this all the time, but I'm dead serious. First thing that's going to happen is you come to Ginn Academy. They're going to say, what's your curriculum? Well, it might be different than everybody else's. My curriculum is love, passion, and understanding. I'm going to love them. I'm going to have passion. I'm going to give them proper understanding. The math, science, social studies, and English, and all that other stuff is requirements for everybody in the world. But you can't educate nobody if you don't know them. And if you don't know them, you have to get to know them. So you got to have a relationship with the kid. That's everybody there. But it was designed to give each kid an individual life plan. That means that you got to take each one of the kids and see what they're good at, because they all have a gift. They all have greatness. So that's our job. You can't have a cookie cutter type situation. We got this, you go to school, you do this, you do that. And people tell you, go to high school. But what that mean? Nobody never tells you why you go to high school. Just go to high school, that's what you're supposed to do. Well, it says high. So you put the kids in a higher position. That's what I tell kids. And then you work on your brand, who you're going to be as a man, and it's a transition into life. So you got to educate all these kids, and you got to educate the whole child. You got to love them. You understand? You got to do all that. You can't educate kids. Like I tell people sometimes, you don't learn by what somebody teach you. You learn by what you exposed to. You know what I'm saying? If you never exposed to anything, you're not going to learn anything. The math, science, social needs is going to be a requirement. You're going to learn that. But what do you know? Do you know how to do something? Do you understand how to navigate through the world? You know how to navigate through corporate America, and how you know how to build great people. All this is part of education. And I started this school because I had a school in the basement of Glenville. And I did that because when I first became a head coach, I started seeing, well, I kind of knew prior, but now I'm the head coach. I made kids report to me. I did their schedules. They would prepare you to graduate, but don't prepare you for college. You got your core GPA, you got your CUNY GPA, you got all this stuff. So I would give them the proper understanding. I was exposing them to things that people didn't think was necessary. Then I got to teach you how to be a man, teach you how to have respect. But I started it by making sure you come to school and you got to report to me. I was a security guard. I had a door that I was watching, and you had to come here. And if you're not in school, I'm calling the house or I'm leaving the school coming to get you. So that's how I started. And then I had a group of teachers, and I had great principals that allowed me to get a group of teachers that would educate the players according to who they was, and to make sure that we're doing the right thing for our core GPAs and different things like that to prepare us for college. So that's kind of how I started. But the whole thing is to be different and do the core values of life and teach them life skills and the sport. And, we can make a decision where we want to go in life.
It sounds like, for people that don't know your background, Coach, you're more of a life coach first than a football coach.
Absolutely. Everybody keeps talking about football, man. That ain't what it's about. It's a service game. It's a business. It's what God told all of us to do. I have an entity and an opportunity to really serve daily. They throw this thing around talking about mentoring. Ain't nobody doing that. Well, what do you do for mentoring? Well, I got 2 kids. Me and my wife take them to the movie. We go get them an ice cream, and we do that once a month. But that's not mentoring. That's just being a lollipop dad. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're not really doing that. Mentoring is every day. Parenting is every day. That's what it is. We throw that word around all the time, but I do that every day. I'm mentoring every day. And then my school is based on that. I don't know if you know, at Ginn Academy, I have youth support, which is me reproducing myself. And they have a cohort of kids that they walk to class. They're on 24-hour call, and they the link between the school and the parents and the home. You know what I'm saying? So that's their job. That's their job, period. So you can't never tell me you get tired. The kid can't fail. If the kid not here, you got to go get them. So I reproduce myself in Ginn Academy. So I have that so the kid don't miss. But everybody can say, Coach, I don't have sports at Ginn Academy. Why? Because I didn't want you to think that Ginn Academy was a sports school. It's for education, and it's for teaching and learning. We play sports over here at Glenville. That probably was the mistake that I made, because now the kids is really, they can't serve 2 spots, but that wasn't my purpose of the school, and they keep saying that he just doing it for football, and it's not. Because football get in the way of the purpose. Track get in the way of the purpose. And that's not what it is.
So, Coach, how do you keep yourself from getting burned out? Especially when you're handling all these kids, all of these different kids from different backgrounds, you're on the clock 24/7. How do you take care of yourself mentally in those situations day to day?
Well, people ask me that all the time. I don't get burned out because I have a purpose and a responsibility. And the responsibility is what I do every day, is to serve people, whether you're a child or adult. And I always go back to this scripture, and it's John 9:1-7, about the blind man. That scripture right there helps me to know what my purpose is. You understand? And it's not just my purpose, it's everybody's. And I can't get burnt out, because if I get burnt out and get tired, that scripture lets me know that this is your job. This is what you're here for. This is your purpose. This is what you have to do. And that scripture is kind of like, and if you read it, you'll understand it, but it's based on the person being blind. And the disciples tell Jesus, well, why is he blind? Is it something that his mother did, his father? Is it a curse or not? He said, no, neither or. Jesus died and left a light. And God sent his son here to show us how we supposed to live. You understand? Mm. And he's explaining that to us, and that is to serve. And he showed you that that's who you are. You understand? And he was sent here for this day to show us how great God is. And that's why we took care of that guy with the blind man. So we got a lot of blind men out there. It's our responsibility to serve them, and bring them up to par. And that's our job. So that's how I don't get burned out, because I'm scared not to do it. I'm scared not to serve, because dealing with children being the leader, you understand, it's a dangerous business. And it's a dangerous business, even parenting. If your heart is not in it and you're not true to it, you're dealing with people that's uneducated, undeveloped. You know, you have to be the guiding light for them. And so I'm scared of that. That's the reason I was sick, because I had people around me that wasn't true to children. So I cannot get burned out. You understand? Do that make sense to you?
Absolutely.
You know, because it's God's children. And then it's a judgment day for that. It's a judgment day for everybody that's in this business. I don't care what level you're on. I don't care if NFL, pro basketball, high school, muni ball, anything that you do. If you're the leader and you call yourself a coach or a teacher, even you're being a teacher in education, and you're not fair to the children and you don't love them, you need to get out of it, because you're going to pay for it. So you can't get burnt out. You can't get tired, because you're in charge of his child, of his children.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful when you look at it that way, Coach. You know, you've coached, I think, over 1,000 kids in your career. You coach your son. You coach a Heisman Trophy winner in Troy Smith, a Super Bowl champ, and Frank Clark of the Chiefs. You've had, I think, by my count, 7 former players now currently in the NFL. You've impacted thousands of kids to get off the street and to get a higher education at Glenville and then at your academy we just talked to. You've changed so many lives. Have you had the opportunity to sit back and reflect at what you've done at your time at Glenville at all yet? You mentioned a little bit about your son, but have you had that moment where this is poof, wow, look what I have done?
No, because, you know, and like I said, I just realized Ted.
Mm-hmm. Right.
When it seemed like he was closing the book, you know what I'm saying? Because I never concentrate on that. You know, I don't walk around talking about, well, I got this kid here, I got that kid. No, it's so many. You understand? And the only time I really think about it is like you asked me the question. Mm-hmm. But sometimes people have to come and remind me, because I don't think I've done enough. But if I sit down and really think about it, oh my God. You know what I'm saying? I said, wow, I never knew. I never looked at it. I never thought of it. You know, and I haven't really paid attention like that until maybe here recently. I kind of said, wow, it's been a blessing, you know, but I never really concentrate on it. You can ask me some things, man, and I couldn't tell you the number, man. I don't even know, you know. They would tell me I had 200 wins. I never thought of it. I never looked at it. You know, I'm not an egotistical guy like that. Mm-hmm. You know, it don't mean nothing to me. I don't need a trophy. I don't need a plaque. I don't need none of that. I need support for the children. I need people to buy into it and do things like that. And that's just how I am, man. You know, but when you ask me, I think about it and it scares me. It scares me because, wow, just think if I wasn't here. Just think if I did like everybody else. Just think I just say, oh, this is the ghetto, this is the inner city, and leave for my personal thoughts. Or somebody say, oh, this is the inner city. We're not the inner city. We're who we are. We're not in the slums. We're not ghetto. It's just the way that everybody analyzes. This are somebody's children. And it's an opportunity, man, for these children, you know, because they're losing. And they're losing in the parochial school. They're losing in the private school. They're losing in the suburban school. They're losing because everybody is not touching the children. Everybody don't love the kids. Everybody love what the kids do for them. You show me what's in place. If I ask you about any of your children, I ask you this and I say, is the school he go to is designed to help him, or is it for him? Is designed for him to help them? Mm-hmm. Actually, the school you went to, was it designed to help you, or was it you was designed to help them?
Yeah, it's a good question.
That's a really good way of putting it, Coach.
Ginn Academy is designed to help them. It's not for them to help Ginn Academy.
Yeah.
That's all education.
Right.
And they'll sit up and tell you all these different stories, man. Y'all don't really care like that.
Well, Coach, on a personal level here, you beat cancer, what, 2012, pancreatic cancer? That is an incredible feat that the 5-year survival rate, you know, the numbers for pancreatic cancer
5%.
is what? Yeah, it's incredibly low. When you're going through that, for anyone listening to this that has a loved one that is going through a similar situation, what kind of advice can you give them, and how much of your teachings and your faith helped you get through your cancer fight?
Right. Good question. First of all, I told you before, let me tell you how I got there. You understand? I told you, in the business of education, in the business of coaching, in the business of being a leader over children and that kind of thing, you have to be right. You have to be totally right, because you're dealing with children and I'm the leader. Back then, and I didn't really get this understanding until I probably came out. But while I was in there, it was getting to me. I knew, because God was really talking to me. You understand? We always talk about God being a deliverer. He delivers you in something, and then he'll deliver you out. But I'm going to tell you this, and I started with this way. I had pancreatic cancer because of what I do for a living. You know what I'm saying? I told you I'm the leader. I had people around me that I'm trying to serve, that I thought would serve my kids, but they was in for their own egotistical value. So God let me know that these people are not good for the children, my children, which is his kids. And I tried to save them and serve them, and they weren't serving my kids. That's my concept of why I had pancreatic cancer. But when I was in the situation and sick, I really didn't even think about it. All I could think about, I got to get out of here, because I got to get back to my business. I got to get back to my calling. My kids can't make it. So what I do for a living saved my life. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
My family saved my life, because I know they can't make it without me. The children can't make it without me. The community couldn't make it without me. The school couldn't make it without me. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So my focus was on my purpose. The one thing I couldn't do. And people used to tell me, well, pray for yourself. I said, I can't do that. I think that's selfish. God knows why he got me here. I'm not going to worry him, because I already know what it is. So he gave me another chance to put my shoes on. And when they put my shoes on, I haven't stopped running yet. And I got rid of those people that put me in there. So I tell people today, even yesterday we had our staff meeting, and I tell people today, if you don't have love for the children here, you understand? Because we all are nothing but a power strip. And that's just a plug-in station. They're going to come in, they're going to plug into you, they're going to plug in their problems, their ideas, their behavior. You have to give them a charge by correcting them. So when I went through that thing with pancreatic cancer, all I was doing was trying to get out to do my purpose. That saved my life. I tell kids today I said, without y'all, I wouldn't be here today. You understand? And I tell the coach, you can't be here. Or I tell the teacher, you can't be here because you're going to put my life on the line. You understand? So that's kind of how it is.
So, Coach, you've been doing this for so long. How much longer can you keep this pace up?
Man, come on, man. Do what?
Yeah,
come on, man.
That's true.
Man, I'm just an everyday get down, bro. You know, I get up to get down every day. You know when I'm gonna stop? When you look at that paper in that obituary, you see me. He done. So you know, I ain't gonna give out, and I'm not gonna rust out. I'm just gonna give out. If that makes sense.
The biggest thing I'm getting out of this interview, Coach, in the half hour we've had you on here is your sense of purpose. And that seems like that is so powerful. And I'm getting a sense of that it's just, you can't even, you put it into words, but it's just so, it's your driving force. And I think people really need to understand that if they don't have a sense of purpose, they need to look at you for that sense of purpose and learn from what you've done.
Oh, no doubt. Because that's our responsibility, though.
Mhm.
That's yours, mine, everybody. We were saved to serve. You understand? That's what it's always been. We just don't live in America for free. You know what I'm saying? It's a cost of living. Everybody got to pay a cost. There's a cost of living. And I'm not talking about a cost of living raise. You're going to pay a cost to stay in this world. You're going to have some wounds. You're going to have some sacrifices. It's a cost to live.
Well, Coach, we really appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to talk to us. This has been an amazing interview and getting to know you, providing some life lessons to us and also to all of our listeners out there, because this is something, it doesn't matter where you are in life, where you're from, where you grew up, what you're doing, how old you are, everything that you told us today, you can apply this to your life. And,
Sure.
We cannot thank you enough.
No, I appreciate it. It's an honor for me to be here. It's an honor for me to talk and share life lessons and all that stuff, man. It's what it is. We'll make the world a better place. This is not a politic thing. It's a life thing. And we sit around, man, and we go in these meetings, we sit down, they come up with these ideas. How do you do that? I mean, you're not even on the ground floor. You don't know what's going on. And you serving and putting in different policies and procedures on some people you don't even know. And that go for everybody. I'm not talking about Glenville. I'm talking about where you from, where everybody from. Nobody is really, how do you come up with these things? People sit behind the desk, do all these different things, but you don't even know who you're serving. You don't even know it. You don't have a mindset or nothing of who you're supposed to be serving. And we pay you for it.
Truer words have never been spoken. I mean, that hits the nail right there on the head, Coach.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for joining us here. I know you have a busy day. I know you got a game coming up to prepare for and kids to help out between now and Friday. Coach Ted Ginn Sr., it's a pleasure and an honor to have you on the show. And we wish you and your family and all the kids that are under you and play with you the very best of luck this season and more seasons to come.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I'm going to keep serving. I'm going to trust God. That's all I can do.
Thanks so much, Coach. We really appreciate your time and great to meet you and good luck this season.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Well, John, that interview was enlightening, eye-opening. I can't even put it into words when you have somebody like that who does God's work and his sense of purpose is to get up every day and do what he does. It's something that I can't even conceptualize. We all complain about our lives on a daily basis, and man, to have somebody like that who does that and has been doing it for so long, we can only hope to be just a fraction of the person that he is.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's very inspirational. It makes you want to kind of rethink what you're doing on a daily basis. Whether it's with your family, with your career, just daily tasks, just your life in general. I mean, he just opens up a lot of different things that maybe you hadn't thought of before. You and I've always talked about having a purpose in life. When I became a father, you talked about that and how big of a change that is to you and what you need to do. Your priorities obviously change and everything. And when it comes to your careers and relationships, friendships, etc., what Ted Ginn Sr. had to say really struck me in a lot of different ways. I mean, there's so much to unravel here. And all I can think of and really say is it's inspirational, but at the same time, you can't help but reevaluate yourself and what you're doing and just kind of, go back and really just think about what he had to say about having a purpose and to serve others.
And what he said at the beginning was, there's always a diamond out there It's just, it's up to you to put a little pressure on them, and that'll really start to form that diamond. Basically, that's what he said. And it's like, wow, you know what, that, so many people see the darkness of the world. He sees people as diamonds. And that's something that a lot of people don't do. So I'm just thrilled we had a chance to get him on the show before high school football season gets too deep.
Yeah, you just never know where the season is going to take us, and how busy he's going to get with the football season coming up here shortly. I just think, Scott, the biggest thing that I take away, besides what we also had to say there too, is the positivity that he exudes. And no matter the adversity that you overcome, he has that same attitude. And no matter what kind of trials and tribulations and things that obstacles that you encounter in your life on a daily basis, it just seems from Coach, he still has that positive attitude. He spins it that way. And that's so hard for all of us to do. I know I have a hard time doing that to myself. Right. And that's just, it's an awesome trait that he has, and he's putting forth and instilling in young men.
Love, passion, and understanding.
Absolutely. A special treat for us here on Sabol Brothers on the Baseline podcast. And that's going to do it for this episode. We want to thank you all for listening and subscribing. And remember, you can find our podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and wherever you find your podcasts. Thanks so much, everyone. Take care.